Hi there. Today we're going to look at a very common problem that you find with sentences that seems to appear mostly as a text is a more scientific text, a more complicated text, technical information. There's something that consistently happens to sentences that make them very hard to read. So that's why I'm calling it they get off to a bad start. And we're going to look at how these bad starts actually show up. What happens mostly is that verbs start acting like nouns. So the denying of her medical claim by the insurance company was not understood by Mrs. Vance. So the active, the insurance company, denied her medical claim. The deny, which is the verb, gets used as a noun at the beginning of the sentence, making it hard to really understand. Same thing in the following example. The immunization of your children is very important. It's much harder than simply saying immunize your child. Immunization is very important. So this is what we call nominalizing of verbs, or making verbs act like nouns. May sound quite eloquent and quite sophisticated, but it makes the sentences very hard to read. So what you see here in a typical example of even a list, which should be an easy thing to read, is that on the left side, you'll see covering the internal organs, helping protect them from injury, serving as a barrier to germs such as bacteria, preventing the loss of too much water, all the functions of the normal skin. All a little harder to read than the beginnings of sentences that start with the active verb. Holds, keeps, helps, protects. So again, having a sentence begin with a strong, understandable verb, if a verb has to be there, it's important that the verb be not acting in a more complicated way like a noun. Another thing that often happens that gets sentences into a lot of trouble is that you have a lot of long qualifying information up front in a phrase, like this example from FEMA. Where required to meet life safety provisions of the code, certain exterior electrical components may be installed. So this where required to meet life safety provisions of the code is the real exception here. They're saying in this situation, okay, where you have to meet life safety provisions of the code, then this would apply. This kind of qualifying phrase up front really derails many readers, especially poorer readers. And just to give you one more example, when you're putting this critical information up front, it can also happen in a very short phrase, not just a long, complicated phrase. So, in the following example, again from FEMA, unless protected, new buildings must not be built, and then with each of these criteria. So if you don't read unprotected correctly, you could essentially get this whole paragraph 100% wrong. You know, if protected, okay, new buildings must not be built would be an incorrect interpretation. So again, both verbs that get into the position of acting like a noun and putting critical information up front in a long or even a short phrase can be very problematic for the reader and very easily avoidable. Okay, you'll see more of this in lessons on unpacking sentences and in the lessons on verbs as well. Have a good day.